Hospital District to order on Tuesday, February 9th, 2016, here at the boardroom. Show Dr. Burrows absent, John Parker absent, all of the members present. Item 3, discuss and if necessary, take action on recommendation from the Building and Planning Committee regarding the acceptance of an RFP received for the destruction and removal of the existing buildings located on the Gaither Street lot of Glenrose Medical Center campus.
The Planning and Zoning Committee, we had 3 bids and then a proposal from the county, Somervell County. The low bid was from C&M Hauling. It was for $5,000. The next lowest bid was the proposal from the county, and it was $57,8702. The 2 other bids, one of them for $8,500 and the other one for $8,970. Yes. The Planning and Zoning Committee, the Building and Planning Committee is recommending the low bid of $5,000 from C&M Hauling.
Any discussion? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we accept the recommendation of the Building and Planning Committee to go with C&M Hauling for $5,000.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Show that it passes 5-0. All right, item number 4, discuss and if necessary, take action on approval of paying the interest and extending the due date by up to 150 days on 2 bank loans with Interbank.
Yeah, and this is a result of us receiving approximately one half of our payment from Limited on the property taxes. I've talked with the bank, and they've, we think that the I guess that the sort of the worst case scenario is that we'll get the rest of our money in May. So the bank has been willing to extend the due date on those two notes until May, till we receive the balance of our taxes from Limited.
And so you think that'll, if we get the check in May, that you think that will tide us over from now until May, be able to keep our operations running?
No, we have other funds that we'll be receiving. We've IGT'd for the UC 1115 money. We expect to receive that by the end of February, and that's about $775,000.
What if they appeal the decision? Would they have to pay right then, or could they delay paying until the actual appeal is heard?
This is based on assumption that they'll appeal. If there's the trial is set for the 15th of this month, if the judge makes a decision and it is agreed to by both parties, they're required to pay us within 21 days. If they appeal it, our best estimate is that the appeal would be settled by May, and that's kind of the reason we came up with that May date. And that's not an absolute certainty, but that's the information that we receive from from our attorneys as the best estimate of when the appeal would be resolved. I understand it'd be heard in Waco.
Right.
Now,
10th Court of Appeals, it'll have to be expedited, like I said, because this is, very serious for the taxing entities in this county. So.
And not just this county, other counties that they're short sheeting the bet on too.
Oh, okay.
and they are required to pay interest. I'm not certain of what the interest rate is, but whenever the final decision is made about the value, if in fact it's greater than what they paid us on, they're required to pay interest on whatever between when they paid us the dollars and when we receive the final payment. So there'll be some interest paid. We go with that. If you recall, we budgeted a value of $1.9 billion. So any value that is resolved above 1.9 would be unbudgeted funds that would be to the good on that. We're a long ways apart on the value. They're about $900 so we're a long ways apart.
Yeah, the number once again, I guess I've gone over this before, but the number we were working on, that 1 point whatever, wasn't that based on what we thought they were gonna claim at one time?
I think our budget's based on that number.
Our budget's based on 1.9, and that really was a conservative number. It really, we had hoped that I guess the number would come in at 2.4 is where we had hoped that and I believe that is the number that the CAD board, whenever it was appealed, what is that, the appraisal review board, they established a 2.4 value.
But nobody had any idea that they were gonna come up with this 800 whatever.
No, we felt, we'd understood that they'd have to pay us 1.6. That was the number that we were given that was the number that they came to the appraisal review board with 1.6, and we were at 2.4, and we were under the impression they'd be required to pay on the 1.6, but it turns out they weren't, and they paid a much lower amount.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a necessity. If we received our full payment, we'd be paying this off.
So I guess this first one is the two loans we want to extend the due dates on. Which of the two? Because there's four, right? We have 4 loans with them right now?
There's 4 loans. There's the loan for the computer equipment, which you remember originally was financed with First Financial, and we transferred that over to Interbank. There's the loan for the improvements down in our clinic building. Those are being paid on a monthly basis, and those are due in the exact due date, but we finance them for about 18 months with a balloon. So we can't obligate this board can't obligate the next board, I think, for 1 year. So that's why those we're paying those on a regular basis. The other two are dollars that we borrowed for operation. One of them was $500,000. The other was approximately $300,000.
Now, the $282,000
Yeah.
for the IGT thing, that's, we expect to get enough money to cover that back.
Yes, and one of the reasons we're going to go back for additional money is when we made that loan, we thought our IGT was going to be about $300,000. Turns out our IGT was $558,000. So we're getting a whole lot more money back from the 1115 program than we originally.
So when we get that back, are we going to pay off that loan? Or are we going to extend it and use that money for other things?
No, we're going. Our plan is because we only got half from limited, that we'll use the IGT, the $775,000 we get back in February. We'll use that for operations to get us until May.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so these loans would still be outstanding at this
Yes.
point?
That's correct.
So the clinic renovations that were approved 12 months ago, that, has a loan been taken out for that? Or?
No, we've not.
So would that be a separate loan, or would you extend the clinic loan?
What they've offered to us on that, and there hadn't been any decision made, but what they've offered us on that is to take both those loans and consolidate them, add the renovation to Pecan, and add the equipment for Pecan, both for the doctor's office and the therapy, re-amortize those and set that up as one payment, but they would re-amortize them so that our total monthly payment is approximately what we're paying now. That they haven't approved that. Y'all have approved us doing that. That loan has not been completed.
Right, so once that loan's tied in with this, that'll be like 1.6 million before any other loans that we're going to take.
Look at the numbers.
1.6, you're talking
Yeah,
about,
it's 1.377 now for the outstanding balance on those 4.
4 loans
Plus-
could be. Yeah.
But if you add in the 230 for the 225 for the other, it's approved, then you come to about 1.6. So on those 1.6, are we set up to where we're going to be able to make the payments if we get the money from the luminant thing?
Yeah, there would be 2 pieces. One of them we'll continue to make monthly payments on the equipment loans. And if they consolidate those into one, that monthly payment is about
it's about, 13,000, 14,000.
$14,000. We continue to make that on a monthly basis. the 600, the 500,000 and 300,000, we'd pay those off in May, whenever we receive the balance of the $11. Yeah. And we've done a cash flow statement which shows that we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I've looked at the cash flows.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, and in a nutshell here, here's what our problem is. We got roughly $1.2 million from Lumen. We haven't gotten the bulk of our tax money from the average taxpayer in Somervell County. So we're fixing to send off 600 and something thousand,
588.
okay, so 588
Yeah.
to 1115 funding. And when we make our bond payment, the bond payment amount is
630.
630. So if you add 630 and 588, you come out with about 1.2 million. It leaves us $30,000 change or something out of the deal. I mean, not a day's worth of operations here. And so we've gotten in 1.2 million. We're fixing to spend 1.189 or so. I don't know what that number is exactly because I hadn't actually added it up, but we got in 1.2 million. We're going to spend 1.2 million, but we're going to get 1.3 million on the 28th. And so the people in town that have beat me up, the people that's caught me at the house, the way I've somewhat explained it is your TV goes out and you don't have an extra $500 laying around, so you put it on the credit card until the end of the month. And that's basically what we're talking about doing with this particular item, is we're not going to pay the whole 500 because we don't have it. We're going to pay our 30 bucks interest or whatever it is for the month, and then, you know, we'll have a lot more breathing room 3 weeks from now than what we have today.
Yeah, and really it's kind of all about February is where it's at. You know, we got the bond payment, which we have to make on the 16th, actually, we have to make that on the 16th. We had IGT, you know, last week, so, you know, it's a timing issue. You know, if we could wait till February the 28th, you know, we could, you know, we could avoid, you know, borrowing the 300, which we're going to talk about here.
Well, the discussions, Ray, I've had about this, I think the county has some responsibility for those bonds. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. They've thought about it. With that being said, it's a bill and we got to pay it. So, you know, we're going to have to take part of the 1.2. We cannot borrow money to pay the bond. We can only borrow money for our operations. If we had gotten a deal with the county can't loan us money for operations, but they could loan us money for the bond, in theory, but we could never get everybody on the same page, and so we had to fall back and regroup a little bit.
And I'll make just a brief comment on that, just sort of make sure we're all on the same page on that. And I want to, you know, give the county the credit, because the county called Michael and I one day and said, come down, we're going to talk to you, and we sort of said, what are you going to talk to us about? But they, you know, they were making, I think, in their terms, an honest effort. They realized that we were a new entity and hadn't had a chance to build up a reserve, and they were making an offer to us to, if there was some way to assist in the payment of that bond, they were willing to work with us to pay the bond, either pay the interest or the principal, we pay the other. But, you know, yeah, they were making an honest effort. We went down and talked to them. We agreed on some amounts, and it didn't work out. You know, one of those deals where they tried, we tried, it didn't work out. So since it didn't work out, I mean, we went to the bank, and I mean, the bank hadn't guaranteed it yet, but they're working on providing us with assistance to go ahead and make it on our own rather than having to rely on another government entity. But that's kind of the story the way it went down. Well, I appreciate their offer, and if it had worked out, that'd been great. But it didn't work out, so we'll move on.
There's obviously a difference of opinion about whether the county is still liable on those. I think the only way we find that out is if we go under, and whoever's holding those COs, they're going to say, how do I get? They're going to go back to the county, because the county issued them. It's kind of like you take out a loan on a house. The mortgage company who holds the note on that, they say, I loaned the money to you, on your, credit rating. And that's what whoever bought the COs from the county, it was on the county's credit rating. And I think an argument could be made that the county's still liable because you can't say just throw it off to a new entity that has no credit rating and say, okay, now you gotta get your money from these folks. So, but we don't wanna find that out.
No,
We do not wanna find that out.
no, you got bills, you gotta pay them.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion on item number 4?
I just say that I would be on the opposite side of that. I believe that we're responsible for it all.
Well, we're responsible for it. I'm just saying if
Right.
If it came down to brass tacks, I think the people, I don't know if it's one person bought all those or who bought those COs.
Right.
But they bought them based on the credit rating of Somervell County, not Somervell County Hospital District, because it didn't even exist at the time
Right.
that they bought it. Anyway, somebody gonna make a motion?
That's what I'm asking for.
Which loans are we wanting to extend?
The 500,000 and the 293,000.
So that's the one we owe 282 on right now.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
All right, so Paul's made a motion. Somebody want to make a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Show that passes 5-0. All right, item number 5, discuss and if necessary, take action on the approval of a 30-day bank loan in the amount of $350,000 for hospital operations.
We've already pretty well discussed this. This is the February issue of having to make the IGT, I think on the 4th, and then not getting funding on that until the end of the month, and then also having to make the bond payment on the 16th.
Oh, there's several other things that goes into this, my wife is on the same pay schedule as what we are. There's 3 paydays this month.
Yeah.
There's not 2. I'm not saying that's anybody's fault. I am on the receiving end of that, and I like it, but that puts part of the hiccup in there, Becky, roughly, what's our payroll for one pay period?
Net, it's about 220,000 for the hospital.
Right. And so, I came into Ray, I think last week, or it's probably last week, and I told him, I said, you need to make sure the employees know that their paycheck's coming. That there's stuff on the internet, and people talking around town, and this, that, and the other,
Yeah, we talked to them last Friday, and
Right.
assured them that, that they're gonna be paid.
So is this in the budget somewhere, this $315,000 loan?
Well, it doesn't really show up on this, we use commercial accounting, not fund accounting, so any liability we create here, the 315,000, that'll show up on the balance sheet, but the interest that we pay on that loan will show up on the income statement as an interest expense. So, it's different, it's a little different kind of accounting than say the government. The government uses fund accounting, we use commercial accounting. With commercial accounting, the liabilities are shown on the balance sheet, as opposed to a separate fund.
but the 315 here is for operations, it is
It is
not to
for
pay the bond.
That is absolutely right.
Okay, don't want anybody to mistake that
Absolutely.
that's happening, because we're taking our operations money to make the bond payment.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're following 286-127, which is limitation on expenditures. Money may not be spent for an expense not included in the annual budget when amended to it. So I just want to make sure that what we're trying to do is in the budget. And we're not going to get called on that because.
I feel pretty confident that operations is in the budget.
You think?
I would think that's 2/3 of it.
I have a question, right?
Yeah.
With the tax revenue, when the plant pays, they get to that, they get that to the taxing entities immediately or very quickly thereafter?
Well, the plant wires their money directly into our account. Whenever the other taxing
It doesn't
entities
go
pay the CAD, They have a threshold, I'm not exactly sure what that is. They have a threshold of the maximum amount of money that they can keep in their accounts.
Yeah, okay.
When it gets to
I
that,
got-
they
I
make
got
a
you.
distribution.
Okay,
So,
I got you.
we got, right at the end of January, we got paid pretty quickly. But there's money sitting out there now that they owe us, not having any idea what to do.
Okay, and then the other, us regular taxpayers, that trickles in starting 1st of October,
It does, yeah.
thereabouts, and then by the end of January, everybody's supposed to be paid,
Yeah.
that does pay, and then they dole that out at the end of February? Is
We'll,
that what you said, the 28th or whatever?
well, we got a payment on the 28th, which was for, I guess we got paid up through the 28th for end of January. There's some other mail receipts that they'll receive that will get paid sometime in February. It's whenever they meet their threshold.
Okay,
Or, a little later on
Okay.
in the year, if anybody hadn't paid and they're coming in, they'll make a small distribution.
okay.
But they turn around pretty quick, they sure do.
But we get close to 90% by the end of February. Usually,
90%
I would
of.
say.
right. I think the number, I
I
think
think it's true.
Wes and I talked about it
Yeah.
one time, it was between 85 and 92%, but ballpark it was about 90%.
Okay.
You'll get the vast majority of it, sure.
Except this year, we're not getting
There's not
a
gonna
big
be-
chunk till May,
Yeah.
so,
Well, be optimistic. Hopefully they'll agree, they'll come to an agreement that both sides can live with whenever the trial is in the 15th. If that's the case, we get paid in 21 days, and then we can go ahead and, not have to pay interest on these loans for that long.
Okay.
We'll see.
all right. Any further discussion on item number 5?
So it would be a 30-day bank loan.
Yes, correct. And the reason for that is we get paid 1.3, we've IGT 558, we get paid 1.3 at the end of February. If our bond payment wasn't due until February 28th, we wouldn't be doing this. It's just to cover that very short time difference there.
Well, it's from what, the 16th to the 28th, so less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll move that the board authorize the loan of 30 days for $315,000 from, who are we going to borrow from, Interbank?
Get back.
Interbank.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. I'm gonna speak for the administration of the hospital now. They've been sweating bullets around here. I bet Ray and I have talked more about this sheet of paper than we have almost anything that's ever came up here in the hospital. And, I can only speak for me, but we've all been to the point where, going to the grocery store was because you had to, not because you wanted to. And I don't like seeing us in that position. I think on the cost sheet that I think Ray and them will share with us probably during our next board meeting is if everything works out and we are in budget and all the stars align and frogs spring wings and all that kind of stuff, there's a projection that we have over $1 million surplus this year. And looking at it, I don't think that that's, I don't think it's impossible. I think it's very easily, all that requires is for us to stay in budget. And that is not us winning the lottery, that's not us, adding a single new service or firing a bunch of employees or nothing. That is just to do what we put on paper last September, and I think that's amazing. Unfortunately, today, our biggest problem is, what did we originally project we were going to get? Not 775 from 1115, we were projecting 460 something?
Was it that?
It was 600.
We're grossing 681. I don't remember what we had IG to get that.
Yeah.
We're looking at 681, we're getting 1.3.
Right.
So we got twice what we, twice what we were expecting.
Right. And that $1 million surplus shows paying off, I think, the $500,000 loan and 2 or 3 other things and stuff.
500,000
Right. So anyway, all right, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Show it passes 5-0.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Here, I'll put you over to you guys.
I think it'd be good.
We're kind of squished in here, aren't we? Goodness.
Move the tables, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate